G'day and welcome aboard. My name is Ian and I'll be your tour guide. Today, in episode 3, we'll be exploring Southwest Rocks. So we start today's tour as we come past the fish co-op in Jerseyville. Now, Southwest Rocks is one of the best fishing spots in New South Wales for the blue marlin, as the continental shelf comes as close off the east coast of Australia all the way up and down. So it's a really good spot to access the blue marlin. So going over the bridge at Spencer's Creek, you take the right-hand turn up Arakoon Road and head towards, Arakoon, and a couple of kilometres up the road on that road, take the turn to the right to Smoky Cape Lighthouse. So Smoky Cape was named by Captain Cook back in 1770. And the lighthouse, which was built in 1891, still uses the same lens that it was constructed with. The only difference is that it's obviously had a few coats of paint, but also it was converted to electricity from kerosene in 1962. And it's really worth the walk up that hill to the lighthouse. It's quite steep, but the views are amazing when you get up there. Just such a beautiful part of the country. And if you're here between May and November, hopefully you might be able to see some of the whales migrating. So they go up, head north in May and back down in around November or at the end of November. So hopefully you can catch them going up and down. So now if you look out there, you'll see a rocky outcrop to the east of the lighthouse. Now this is Fishrock. So Fishrock, it's a very special place out there. It's a critical habitat for the grey nurse shark, which are listed on the endangered species list. And as Pete said, the limitations to the fishing activities and other activities that you can do out there give them the best chance to do what sharks do, and that's be sharks. Anyway, a few years back, I came out here and learnt to scuba dive with my daughter Georgia and Olivia. And we learnt to do our open ocean thing with Pete and Kev from Southwest Rocks Dive. And it was such a great experience, like coming out here, there's so much wildlife. There's fish, so many different types of fish, and crayfish and turtles and sharks and all sorts of different sharks as well. But and our ultimate thing was we went through and did the cave dive, which is pretty cool. You start on the eastern side, and you swim through in this little tunnel, and you go along there for a little bit, and then you go up, and it's all directed. There's people there along the way, like Pete has all these instructors along the way, so you're not going to get lost or trapped or anything horrible like that. You just go in, up the chimney, and then you're in this little valley section, and then you swim along through there, and then you open out into this beautiful, massive cave. Now, they also tailor the scuba diving packages to everyone's skill level. So if you're not comfortable going through those tighter spots, you can come around the western side and in and out of the cave, which you could literally drive a bus in and out of there, to be honest. It's massive. So if you're not comfortable with close spots, you can go the other version. And it was, there's so much to see. There was one of the instructors also, because it is darkish from especially the start, but when you get into the cave, it's a lot lighter. But anyway, he got his torch, and the crayfish come in there and to shed their shells. So on the bottom, there's a whole bunch of crayfish shells, and anyway, he picks one up and sticks the torch inside it, and it lights up like a lantern. It's such a cool little experience, and my daughter Olivia got a bit of enjoyment out of that one. The other thing you can do whilst you're in the cave there too, there's two little bubble caves, they call them. So what Pete said is when the waves crash, it oxygenates and comes in and creates these little air pockets. So you can scuba up into these little air pockets, take your mask off, have a chat, which I did, pulled it off, said, "Hello, Olivia, how are you?" We were 5 meters underwater, and here we are just breathing and having a chat. You put your reg back in your mouth and off you go again. Now, and these grey nurse sharks. So to be honest, I thought I was going to shit myself, to be honest, when I first saw a shark under the water, but it wasn't frightening at all. it's so quiet. The only thing you can hear is you breathing. Going. That's all you can hear. And then the shark just appears out of the mist, and he's cruising around. He couldn't care less about you. And they come so close. You could literally touch them. There were so many, and you could literally touch them. You don't, because you keep your hands to yourself. But yes, such a cool experience, and I'll treasure that for as long as I live, to be honest. And so that's the dive. Basically, you come in from the eastern side, up through the thing and out into the cave, and then you come out the other end of the cave and back around and back to the boat. So the other thing I noticed when I was in with Pete this time, because I actually went in to try and interview him, but I had technical issues. So anyway, I noticed on the wall there it's been a family business for 45 years. And when I was chatting to Pete, he goes, yeah, he said, I learnt to scuba dive when I was 12 years old. And his dad used to run Southwest Rocks Dive then, and then now so Pete and his brother Kev also run it as a family business, and they're super professional, unlike me. And so it's all about your experience and safety. Safety is so high on their priority list, and experience, to make sure you have the best experiences that you could potentially have whilst out there. The only other thing I need to tell you about Southwest Rocks, Fishrock, is there's so much different wildlife out there. So come and have a look at it. Sometimes there's been orcas out there swimming along. There's whale sharks. There's hammerheads. There's grey nurse. There's kingfish, normal fish, queenfish, all sorts of. There's so many bream, snapper, everything. There's so many different types of fish out there. There's crayfish. There's wobbegongs. There's everything you could imagine. You can't get that on every single trip. Get all of them. So keep coming back and try and tick off as many as you can. So that's Fishrock. After leaving Smoky Cape Lighthouse, follow the road back round to Trial Bay Gaol. So back in the 1800s, when shipping was the main form of transport. It was decided or identified that we needed a safe haven between Sydney and Brisbane. And Trial Bay seemed to be a great spot, because actually formed a safe haven from southeasterly gales, but with the addition of a breakwall would provide a safe haven with the northeasterly and easterly gales. And here at Southwest Rocks, we get a whole bunch of northeasterly winds during the year. So it was decided to build a breakwall off Laggers Point to provide that safe haven. So then, after a whole bunch of toing and froing and all that sort of thing, in 1877-ish, construction started on the jail. Now, the jail was there to house the prisoners that would construct the breakwall. Now, it took about 12 years to build it complete enough to allow works to begin on the breakwall. And then another 10 years for the final kitchen and outbuildings and all that to be completed. So that's in the 1900s, or around the 1900 mark. So if you think back to get some perspective on it, Australia prior to the 1900s was still 7 British separate colonies governing, and the population was about 3.76 million-ish, somewhere around there. Compared to today, it's like, I think 2025 is expected to be 27, 28 million, somewhere in that sort of bracket. There was approximately 124 prisoners. 111 of these were categorised as licensees. Now, this allowed them the freedoms to go fishing, swimming, and playing sport when they weren't working. This was still under the guard, or the watchful eye of the guards from the watchtowers and that sort of thing. So after 14 years, and in 1903, they finally said, enough's enough. So there were so many storms, and the breakwall would bust over, and they'd get half of it or a bit done, and it'd bust a bit more, and the budget was blown out. So I think it only got to about 20% of where they originally wanted to build it.
And they went, no, can't do it no more. So in 1903, the project and everything was abandoned, and all the prisoners were moved to another jail, and the jail was closed. So the mighty jail stood silent then until used in 1915. And that was to house German prisoners during World War One as an internment camp. Now, Trial Bay Jail was the only internment camp in New South Wales and the ACT to hold overseas travellers or overseas Germans that were deemed to be enemy aliens, was the terminology used. Now, two of those were German scientists, Pringsheim and Grabner. And now these two scientists were visiting a congress, and they were here at the request of the Australian government when war broke out, and were subsequently detained and held here in Trial Bay Jail. So some 5 years later, in 1918, the camp and the jail was closed, and the internment or internees were moved to Holsworthy. So prior to leaving, the Germans requested that a monument be set or made for the 5 German prisoners that passed away during their internment. So a stone cairn was erected on Monument Hill. That's where 2 of the 5 are buried. And it's a great little walk up there to see it. And you can also keep going up over the hill into the beautiful little bay area. And then you can return via another track. There's other little bits and pieces to see along that track as well, and that'll bring you back round to Trial Bay Jail. So then, after a little bit more, another 4 years, in 1922, the fittings, the roof, the gates, and anything that you could think was valuable was sold off, and the rest just left to decay. Now, this, in turn, then it turned out to be a bit of a tourist attraction for people to come. So then in 1946, it was declared a reserve for public recreation. And then finally in 1974, National Parks and Wildlife took over to manage the ruins. And yeah, you can come through and have a look. They've got a couple of little bits set up in there that you can look at with mannequins and things, and it's pretty cool. You'll see a couple of images on the YouTube one. And yeah, you can even camp there. It's a pretty cool spot to camp and very picturesque, watching the sunset while you have a beer and cook your sausages. Anyway, that's Trial Bay Jail.
So after leaving the jail, we're going to head around to Southwest Rocks. So now here's another little bit. So as I identified, the bay affords relief from the south and southeast winds, but it really gets flogged by the nor'easter. Now, Trial Bay, named after the wrecking of the brig Trial back in 1816, 1817. And I remember camping at the park near the jail when the winds were insane. We're in our little dome tent when the gusts literally flattened the tent onto us for about 5 seconds. Felt like 10 minutes. And then as it was going, it was like... And then when it finished, the tent just popped back up into shape. We then pulled out the poles and pegged the tent flat with the tarp to the ground and retreated to the safety of the in-laws caravan who were camping with us. So the nor'easter has claimed the ferries the Kundaloo, Lurgarina and the showboat Sydney Queen back in 1972. Now these were all being towed to the Philippines when they took relief in Trial Bay because he kept breaking the tow lines as he was trying to drag them north. Now the Kundaloo broke its moorings first and beached itself in Trial Bay there. And then 3 days later, the Sydney Queen did the same thing. And then 3 days later again, the Lurgarina did it and suffered the same fate. So Stuart White, who was the owner, later set fire to the wrecks because he was trying to deter the vandals and all of that sort of thing. And then he fled. Now you can still see the wrecks today, especially following big seas, or depending on what sort of east coast low we've had. And if you visit our Facebook and Instagram, you can see how much the sand moves around the Lurgarina. That's the main one that's visible now. Yeah, and actually I'm quite amazed. Like I walk the dog from time to time on the beach, And I'm amazed at how much sand just moves in and out of the bay from year to year and month to month and things like that. So anyway, Southwest Rocks is named Southwest Rocks because of the rocks, which are the boulders and the rocks of the headland and all that sort of thing, and Stingray Rock. Now, these are southwest of where you would take refuge in Trial Bay. So that rocky outcrop is where they call it Southwest Rocks. Now, Horseshoe Bay is the beach in the middle of town, and it faces due north. So it can be quite flat during a southerly swell as it just rolls straight on past, and you can see it lumpy out on the horizon, but we actually can be like a lake there. And then other times when the swings around to the east, we can get a good little surfing wave coming in there. So one of the must things that you have to do when you're in Southwest Rocks is to get an ice cream. And the best place to get one is here at Chillati. And I've come down to a good friend here, Donna, who owns Chillati, and I was going to just ask her a quick couple of questions. So how many flavours have you got here?
Around 43, 44, I think, last count.
Oh, that's lots, isn't it?
It is a lot, yes.
So how many spots have you got to put in?
We've only got 18 that are out at a time, so there are some that stay in all the time. There are other flavours that rotate.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
And what's the most popular?
Ferrero Rocher.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Not rum and raisin?
No, not rum and raisin, sorry, no.
Come on, that's my favourite.
Yeah, no, Ferrero Rocher.
There you go.
Yep.
And how long have you been doing it?
We have had the shop 8 years, and the shop has been here in this spot, though, for 23 years.
Yeah, that's heaps, huh?
Yes, a long time.
Long time.
For a shop to be in the one spot, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, yes, well, folks, come on by, have an ice cream, and, you'll love it. It's well worth it. After your ice cream, there's still lots to see and do in Southwest Rocks. You could explore the Pilot Station precinct that's got art galleries, museums and things like that, heritage-listed buildings. Another favourite pastime is down at Back Creek. So you can jump in the water there, and depending on the tide, you can float in and out with the tide. Now, that's pretty fun. A lot of the kids jump off the bridge, so it's good fun watching just them, or if you're game enough and want to, entirely your choice, you could have a go yourself. The other thing to do is in Southwest Rocks is fishing. So over near the boat ramp, over Sandfly Hill, you go down to the boat ramp onto the Mighty Maclay, and you can fish all along the breakwall there. The other thing in Southwest Rocks to do is sunsets. They are so pretty. There's 3 really good spots for sunsets. So back at the jail, just below it, under the Norfolk Island Pines. The other one is up on the headland near the Marine Rescue Building and overlooking Horseshoe Bay. The other final one is down near the tavern, just looking out over the Mighty Maclay. The sunsets there are very pretty as well. And that's it. Episode 3, done and dusted, Southwest Rocks. So if you enjoyed that, please join us for our next episode, number 4, which will be Coonabarabran. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you want to see some pictures to go with it, you could look at it on the YouTube. Or if you're on the YouTube, you could, and just want to hear the audio, there's a podcast on Spotify as well. So same again, please like and subscribe so that we can keep on doing this, and hope to see you for episode 4.